Hello, I'm Rebecca of the Garden Gate Flower Company.
And I'm Grace of Grace Alexander Flowers.
And we've come together to create Stuart and Alexander, Gather at the Garden Gate.
A podcast taking you behind the scenes of two gardens, what we've been up to, inside, outside, and out and about.
I think, oh no, I've got Hugo walking along the back of the sofa.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Hugo, down you get, lovely. Down you get. He can't hear me.
Bless him.
Hang on, he will get off. Oh no.
Bless.
We've got to sit at the end of the sofa, look out the window. Oh, welcome to a particularly chaotic episode of Stuart and Alexander. Everything's a bit different today because it's such a cold day. I think we're both in slightly weird places.
Oh.
So I'm on my sofa, snuggled up with the dog with the wood fire on. Where are you?
Well, I've retreated to the attic bedroom, which is not really very warm, but I'm just worried because I have so many deliveries at the moment that downstairs is just not the place to be because the dog will start barking and then all hell breaks loose. I'm upset.
I'm surprised you...
Yeah.
Have you got deliveries? Is it because we've had so much snow, nothing has been able to move?
I say it's like local people dropping things off. I've got a couple of vintage galvanised buckets hopefully being delivered soon from lovely Martin and Annette who have the antiques shop in Lostwithiel. I just rang them up and went, I need 2 galvanised buckets. Can you please deliver them to my house? It's things like that. But yeah, we haven't got snow actually settled, I will say. We've had the Cornish equivalent, which is sleet. And everybody's probably, if anyone's from Cornwall that listens to it, probably shouting at me and go, well, we have got snow. You've probably got snow if you're on high ground, so Bodmin Moor, that sort of thing. But where we are in Lostwithiel, there is definitely not snow. It's just literally, but the kids aren't at school. Yeah, no, school isn't out. It's all out for the snow day. Teachers can't get to the school. That's what I've been told. There you go.
Well, so I have this whole amazing evening planned, not just for the purposes of the Out podcast, but we were going to go down to Nick and Bella Irvins, who used to be Walnuts Farm.
Mm-hmm.
They have got a Georgian townhouse in Lyme, which they do a lovely Christmas installation with lots of amazing local creatives.
Oh, nice.
And it was their first opening this evening. And we were going to go down, Sandy and I were going to go down, my husband and I never take my husband anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to put him on public show. And then we had a table booked at an amazing restaurant, which I haven't been to yet in Lyme, called Lilac. And it's all cancelled. All cancelled.
Yeah, one snow day and our whole UK grounds to a halt, doesn't it?
Well, we have had lots and lots of snow here.
I saw.
But it's now, we're recording this at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's gone.
Has it?
It's all gone.
Oh, you've just got
Yes.
slush.
We've got slush. Pretty much the roof is now back to its normal thatch colour. It was absolutely white, but lots of water on the roads, and I think it is going to freeze in a few hours. So everyone's saying, "Oh, be a bit careful," because that's the worst of it, isn't it? Snow I can cope with.
It's the freeze.
Black
yeah,
ice,
it's
I
the
can't
freeze. I can't
really,
bear it. I
so-
can't bear it at all. Did you get out and take loads of photos?
I did take some photos.
Your thatched cottage in the snow must be beautiful.
It is lovely. But to be honest, I was on a bit of a mission today because today has been the day that I've had in my diary for ages to get Christmas packed. So more sweet pea seeds than you can ever imagine. I think we're up to 800 packets today and I've still got another 400 or so to do. So I was a bit like the fire, hunker down, kettle on, we're doing. So
Yeah.
maybe didn't make the most of the snow.
When I was younger, we lived in a thatched cottage, and I still look back on those pictures of when, I don't know how old I was actually. I must have only been, I don't know, 8, 6, or between 6 and 8, I would say. And we had a beautiful thatched cottage. And there was obviously a really big dumping of snow, and it looked so beautiful. I do remember it. But as with all children, it's always great to have an image that you can go back on and go, oh, I do remember that. And the garden raised up from the house, so it's a rather pretty garden. So if you stood at the top of the garden, you looked down onto the thatched cottage. And Dad had taken these beautiful pictures of the thatched cottage, and it was called Thatched Cottage. How original! But the thatched cottage with all the twinkly lights on inside and the chimney with the smoke. Just one of those quintessential pictures where you just go, thatched cottages look great in the snow, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad that I didn't take more pictures.
I'm sure you'll get another
Although,
chance.
Interesting to hear your view on this. Smoke out of the chimney. I have been so reluctant to light my wood burner this year. I confess, I did light it for the first time late last night, and I have lit it today because it's been so cold. But I'm being bombarded by messages about air pollution and particles and things, and we don't really have any other heating here. So
Nor do we.
I feel a bit, yeah. Any thoughts on that?
I would say it's been so mild. I have never not lit the wood burner I can't remember the last time I didn't light the wood burner in October. I would normally wait till mid to late October, but we've probably had it lit for the last week, I would say. Because what I've noticed is our house being very stone, obviously don't have the thatch like you have. You're all right for the first day if you don't light it and it's a bit cold. But the next day it's really cold. So these old Victorian houses definitely hold the warmth and they definitely hold the cold. Yeah. What I found now is now that it's the light levels. It really changed for me when we had daylight saving change. And the house wasn't getting so much sunlight. Yeah, I think there is definitely, I have to say, I do burn British, I've got a really good, actually it's Wild Wood, they're called. They are a local company and they do kiln-dried logs. And they are all from UK stock. I've done as much as I can do in keeping it like low carbon. They're not imported in. I didn't realise how much wood was imported. So you get them in the nets. And I only
oh God, really?
Yes. Okay. I only came across this sort of in the last few years. That the nets that I thought I was buying, kiln dried, I thought I'd been really good. Obviously, we don't use coal anymore, haven't for a long time. But I was thinking we're doing a good thing. We've got the wood burner, but at least it's all kiln dried logs.
Yeah.
Imported wood. And I never realised. So as soon as I realised, I switched suppliers. And I use now, like I said, wild wood. I mean, what I will say is the wood prices, it's eye-watering. But I suppose like you, it's a little bit like people who have to fill their oil tank for their Rayburn, isn't it? That amount that you have to buy is quite eye-watering, isn't it? But you might only do it twice a year sort of thing. So hopefully the wood we've got will see us through the entire year. But I work for a lovely client in Foy, and they've got a lot of wood on their land, and they just said, "Oh, just come with your van and just load up what you need," which from their woodland. So that's really.
But then you need 2 years to dry it, don't you?
They're amazing. They shove it in a barn. They've got a really good system.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Now you're just showing off.
This is half the problem. If you live like we do in a town where we don't even have wood areas where you can store wood that long. Do you know what I mean? It's really hard, isn't it? So I don't know. Yeah, but what do we do? These old houses, are requiring heat.
So they are. Something that the surveyor said, because I had not a house purchase surveyor, but I had a specialist surveyor come round just to really help me understand the cottages. And he said the stone, you have to think about it as a massive storage heater. You need the stone to hold the warmth. Right. You cannot let the stone go cold. So now is the time, just so I've got everything on low heat just to try and keep that warmth in the walls, because once they go cold and damp,
that's exactly
they're not. It's not it's proper chilly. So
no, and we've got the Arga, obviously, like you've got the Everhot. Without that, I think we would all. I just genuinely think I would shrivel up and die.
Do you know what I did? Yes, I said to someone, it's the Everhot that keeps the whole house warm. The whole house. It's just it's and it just radiates heat.
Let me tell you, before all this snow, what I was doing out, because I'm sure we'd love that people are here to listen about our gardens and stuff.
Out or out?
I'm going to say out, because I haven't really, my out and my in are quite boring. So I think I'm just going to go straight out. And I was invited off the back of, do you remember I said to you, I think in the podcast, not the last one, the one before? So what was that, 6, something like that? Episode 6. I was talking about the fact that I'd been invited to the Dobwalls garden.
Yes.
Yeah, like
gave you a little talk.
Evening, gave them a little talk. I then got, and this is where it's really great, I then got an invite from 2 sisters that were there, to go and see their house and garden. I was like, oh my God, I'm in. This is exciting. So I trotted along to go and see their garden. And they are 2 sisters that grew up on, as children of a nursery, of parents that ran a nursery. So I think they were both saying to me that from a very young age, they learned how to prick out plants and all that sort of thing. It was hilarious. And that they used to get pocket money based on how many plants they could prick out, pennies as well. Yeah. And they decided, actually one of them did say to me a little bit late really, that they would decide to put their money together and buy a farmhouse and renovate barns and live there with both of their husbands in separate places, but create a garden, basically in the fields. And it's amazing. So this place is at it's called South Bosent Gardens in Dobwalls. It's open to the NGS and also to the Cornwall Wildlife Trust. And I think they both opened, around about May time. I don't think they're open before May. I'll clarify that, but I think it's May time they open. And then they close sort of September. And they have a little tea room there. And they give a little talk about what it was like before they started. But the one thing I took away from this place, because obviously you can imagine Dobwalls, landscape-wise, it's really it can get quite moorlandy up there. So really exposed. They did take a field and basically wove out a garden with big beds, big borders. But I suddenly realised when you have space like that, Grace, trees. They have trees everywhere. Everywhere I turned, these flower beds, whereas I would worry about putting a tree in. I do have trees in my garden, but the moment you put a tree in, you're like, all the canopy underneath that tree has now got to be underplanted with crocuses, and not much is maybe a hydrangea or two, but not much is going to grow. I love the variation of height in this garden. It didn't seem to matter. And they had beautiful silver birch with the most fabulous tree trunks, the trunks with the white and the peeling. And I just walked around. I was like, this is incredible. And a lot of it they propagated, and because obviously that's what they're so good at. Hardwood cuttings, softwood cuttings, all that sort of thing. They're really good at that. And they just keep carving off another little bit of the field and adding another little walkway and another little route around. And I was really inspired. And the other thing that they did, which I love, was they had there's an actual term for it, but a brush hedge, which essentially is a dead hedge, compost hedge. Have you seen these?
Yes, I have. And do you know what I was thinking?
Think of you.
I've got a stretch that I was thinking I need to extend a fence, and then I was thinking maybe I should just do a hedge because I do love a hedge, and I thought maybe I should do a dead hedge. What's a brush hedge? What's
I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure
it's just a dead hedge.
I'm pretty sure Adrian called it a brush hedge. Yeah, when she was explaining it to me. So what they do is they just, for anyone that's listening, they basically put all their hardwood. So any hardwood, they just lay it down, and then you put posts in to anchor it into place, and then, two posts opposite each other, like a hedge width, and then you just lay if they cut hazel, they just lay them all down. So the idea is everything gets compost and everything just lays down. So a lot of it is really big branches. They're cutting down parts of woodland, or they're up pruning trees or whatever they're doing, and that gets laid down. But it did two things, okay? Actually, it did three things. One, structurally, it's really eye-catching in autumn, where it just creates suddenly this incredible edging to the garden. Secondly, it really helps with biodiversity within that in the garden. The birds love it. So the ladies were saying to me that they have so many birds nesting in it because it's like a perfect little nest. It's perfect for the birds and wildlife. And then three, it actually works as a really good wind barrier as well. So it really, where they needed to break up this sort of prevailing wind that was coming in, it was able to do that. And really, it's a case of putting what you want to do is hedge your bets, and put a really tall post in, because if you can get it really nice and tall, obviously, but it all goes down, it rots down,
and you can just keep
adding. And what I did say, so I got him. So actually, Becky went along with me, my lovely gardening friend, and she was really inspired by it. So she's really tempted to do it in her field, because she just said, "What a great idea!" Because she burns a lot of her compost, big woody stuff, which is hard because it's hard to get rid of big woody stuff unless you have a chipper or leave it in a corner.
Enough, we do have a chipper.
Yeah.
We do have a chipper, and I swear by it. But our native hedge is out of control. And I think the only thing that I'm going to be able to do with it is to get into it and use either a mini chainsaw or some sort of pruning saw to actually chop out some really, I mean, we're talking 4 meters or something, massive branches, and just to try and lower the canopy a bit, because it's just, even when the tractor came through with the flails, they took one look at it and were like, oh God. Yeah. And it needs thinning, and there is a lot of hazel in there, which I want to grow rods again, and it's turned into a tree. So I want to coppice a lot. But there's cherries, plums and all sorts of things in there. It's not just hazel. I think actually that might be a really good way of using either that or one of those incredible layered, are they called hugel
That's
beds?
right.
Oh God, I forgot that.
Yeah, I think you have actually. Yeah, I've heard of it before. Something like that anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was really good, but I can highly recommend the garden. I'll put a link in the show notes. If you're in Cornwall, I'm not part of NGS, so I'm sure there's probably so many gardens that if you were part of NGS, you'd probably unlock lots of nice small run gardens. But yeah, Adrian and Trish, two amazing ladies. And the only regret they have is that they didn't do it a long time ago, because obviously, as we all know with gardening, it's absolutely exhausting, backbreaking work. But they have a good couple of gardeners. Hilariously, both their husbands are not interested in gardening. Because I think it came up it was myself, one of the chaps that gardens next to me where I have my flowers, and his wife. So there's a whole gang of us, and we had the most beautiful lunch.
Oh, wow.
I know, I was very grateful to be asked. And it was a bit of a private tour. And even, like I said, at that time of year,
lovely.
which is funny because, like you said, with the Howes and Worth, you just don't know what's going to be around, do you, in gardens? But it was so nice to see it. And I'm definitely going to go back in spring. And do you know what the even better thing was? They told me to bring my pruning saw because they knew I needed some pine, and they had a few pine trees they wanted up pruning. So not only did I get a tour of the garden, lots of inspiration, a free lunch, amazing pudding, I also went away with a boot full of foliage. So they are.
Oh, that's so
I'm
funny.
literally making them my new gardening best friends. So that's even if they want me or don't want me, they've now been Beckered. Yeah, I know, definitely. They're not far from where I grow my flowers, so I might be a nuisance to them at this rate. But anyway, it was really lovely.
That sort of links to my out, which is I feel like I've been having conversations with all sorts of people in all sorts of places about conifers coming down.
Oh, yes.
So it seems to be a thing at the moment in town where the football ground is in Taunton's tiny little football stadium. It's tiny. And they had some incredible alders outside, but they also had some very tall Leylandii. And I did notice, I was stuck in traffic jam outside it, that they were cutting the whole lot down.
Yeah.
And I just sat there in this traffic jam, just desperately wanting to get out and just fill my car with all of this foliage. And we had a parish council meeting last night, and the councillor in charge of highways, who's our local farmer who's lived in Cork all his life, he was saying that he's been chopping down huge conifers somewhere. And I was just like, you need to tell me where, because I need to come and get them. So I did find a small forestry project that one of my neighbours had been doing. And they just cut by hand because they just let the branches drop on the ground to mulch down. And I'm afraid I did reach through a very large patch of brambles to pull out some yew and a really nice conifer that looked a bit Leylandii-ish but wasn't quite. So I've got them outside sitting under a pile of snow, and I'm going to treat myself to a proper evergreen wreath this year.
Yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. I thought this when I asked around because I needed to see Leylandi, and there's two camps of people. One camp of people that are desperate to have them because they need them for foliage, and another camp of people that have a tree that desperately want to get rid of it. And it's just marrying up those two people. I feel so. Luckily it was my stepdad's cousin actually. And his wife has been desperate for her husband to cut down these Leylandi, which have got way too tall, completely dominate over this sort of farm bungalow that they've got. She couldn't look happier when I said, could I have some foliage? But do you know what, Grace? I'm amazed. So he cut down an entire Leylandi tree. These are really old, tall trees that are taking a battering up on the moor. And I'm amazed how little amount of foliage there is on them.
Well, it starts quite late in the branch,
really
late,
about halfway up. They just look dead for about most of your eye line, and then it's just some stuff on the top. But I managed to fill my boot completely, and Emily from 3 Acre came and took a whole load as well for her project. So I did say to lovely Rosemary, there's about 8 Leylandi trees there. That's for the next 8 years of Garden Gate being in business. In 8 years, you will have it cleared, but you cannot take another one down until I need it. But I think people should be married up with the need.
There should be an app for this.
There should be.
There should be some sort of dating app sort of type thing where we just match up florists with their secateurs and people in high-vis jackets.
For free. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing? What have you been doing in? I'm going in.
So in has been mostly lots of renovation work, actually. That's probably not an accurate thing to say. The renovation work was all done by my husband a couple of months ago, and then he got really busy. If anyone knows anything about doctors, they do this really weird thing. Their career just isn't linear.
Wow.
They have this they settle for a bit, and then suddenly there's this big flurry of interviews and job applications and the next stage, and then they settle again for a bit, and then there's this massive flurry and they have to move halfway across the country. It's just a nightmare. So in one of the calm bits, my husband did a lot of work taking out lots of walls in a big room upstairs, which when I told you it had been made into 3 rooms and you were like, oh my God, what? They were all tiny, but we've now got one really beautiful big room. But he had literally just left it as he'd finished. So it was plasterboard everywhere, wood everywhere, nails everywhere. It was just absolute chaos. It still looked like the building site there was. And I was just like, that's it. I'm going to get it sorted. So I spent a couple of days just sweeping everything out, cleaning everything down, hoovered everything about 15 times. You know, the dust comes out the air.
Yeah.
Every time you clean, it just gets dusty again. And I've been quietly stalking Facebook Marketplace for rugs for about 6 months now and hiding them when I've collected them. I got it to the stage where I could really enjoy it.
Oh, that's nice.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah.
There's the light switches hanging in thin air and none at work and various things. So I just used to put a pillar up so it doesn't look like the light switches in midair. But yes, so that's my in, is I feel like we've gained a whole new room, because when in the state it was in, we just shut the door and forgot about it. So we basically just shut the door on a massive part of the house, really. And also the other thing that I was a bit worried about, going back to our previous conversation, is if you have areas of your house, old houses that you don't use, they suffer.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, absolutely.
They like to be lived in. They like the warmth. So we've got a really old panel heater that's just wired onto the wall, which I've just put on really slow. And I have, oh my God, I've just bought an Everhot heater.
Oh, I've seen those, the little small ones. I know, I wanted one for my cabin. There's a design fault with those, though. Can I just...
Oh, go on.
I think they're missing a trick. They need to be able to have a hot plate on the top so that you can boil a kettle.
You can get one that you can cook in.
I know, but who wants to put one to cook in? I want it in my cabin, so I don't have to have a kettle, electric kettle, and I have it on and I put my kettle on it. And I've even told them, Grace. That's what I want.
How hot does the top
You're
get,
not allowed
though?
to put anything on the top, because I've asked about this. So when I did the cabin, because Mum, as we know, has an Everhot like you, they told me about these little ones. I was like, that's amazing. I really want one. And then I realised you can't, they are like a little heater, aren't they?
Yes, I think probably the reason for that is if it was hot enough,
It'd be too hot.
it would be, if you could boil a kettle on it. And you, I mean, our wood burner, I
Yeah,
can boil a
exactly.
kettle.
I'd like to boil a kettle like over a period of time, keep a hot, like...
Do you know what? When mine arrives, I will try it.
You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Okay, all right. Well, you can test it for me then. What colour have
As
you
long
got?
as you don't seal the vent. Oh, forest
Oh,
green.
lovely, lovely.
Yeah, British Racing Green.
Yeah.
Our Everhot cooker is marine blue. I bought a reconditioned one, so actually I didn't really think about the colour. I just had the colour that came in the model that I really wanted that was reconditioned and therefore cheaper than a new one. But I did really, with hindsight, wish it was green. And so now I had the choice. I went for green.
Yeah, I really like it.
But I didn't get the one that has the door and the oven that you can put food in, because it's going to be in our bedroom. I'm like, no one's cooking a cake in my bedroom.
No, exactly. No, I get that.
But I will see if I can I reckon a saucepan would do it, because the thing that I do know about my Everhot is you have to have super flat
You do. Same as
pans
Arga.
to really get otherwise things don't boil. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, so I'll give it a go. See if I can brew myself a cup of tea in the morning. Oh my God, wouldn't that be
so
bliss?
this is perfect, because I can tell you what my in is. My in is all about soup. So
Oh, lovely.
It's soup season, isn't it, essentially?
Oh, I've eaten nothing
Exactly.
but soup for
Soup
weeks.
season, sourdough, and copious amounts of cups of tea. Basically, you're done, aren't you? But soup season. But I don't know about you, but I've got the same staple soups. A vegetable soup that is, I just throw in the bottom oven. A roasted vegetable soup, which goes in the top, Arga roasts it and all that sort of stuff. And also, I've got a great store cupboard tomato soup, which you use. I love this one because, one, this is the only one that Noah, my youngest, will eat. For some reason, he loves vegetables but doesn't really like vegetable soup. But he loves the tomato soup, and it's tin cherry tomatoes, as fancy as you like. And I do put onions in, onions, garlic. But you literally just put the tomatoes in, you put some tomato paste in, some stock, and then you just literally put it in the bottom oven and let it do its thing. And then you add in pesto and then blitz it up. And honestly, it's simple.
Anything not improved by pesto.
Nothing. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. You could really make it a lot more fancier with fresh pesto and all that sort of stuff. But if you literally want a store cupboard soup, as in tins, it is the easiest soup ever. And my children love it. But I have bought, on the back of Mother going on about it, the Stella soup jug. Have you got one? Oh, God, no, this sounds like a Mary Berry episode. But anyway.
What is a soup jug?
I've literally transformed my soup making and serving, elevated it amazingly. So you can buy, it's a Stella brand, because like you, I have to have that thick base to it. Yeah. So it's a pot, it's a jug. It's basically, they call it a gravy jug, but it's like a soup gravy jug. So if you imagine a measuring jug, like a saucepan, but you use that to heat your soup up in after you've made it. So you put it in the fridge, take it out and ladle it in there, and you put it on the Aga, and it pours because it's a jug. You just keep topping up your bowl.
It has
made my day.
I love that. That's
honestly
hilarious.
Because I need something practical. By the time you take it out of the fridge, you put it into Pyrex dish, put it into a saucepan, ladle it into something, slop it everywhere. You have a jug. It's perfect for beans. It's perfect. Noah uses it for peas, for boiling peas in. Honestly, this little jug is like the best thing I've bought. It's brilliant.
Link in the show notes, I think is all I can say.
I know, my life has literally got that bad. I tell you that I'm loving a sort of a silver jug. There you go.
That is only, you have to redeem yourself now with an out.
My out was going to the garden.
Oh, was your garden?
Yeah, now I can't redeem myself. And my out, well, I don't know what I've been doing out really. Have you done both your ins and outs? I've got very confused as to where we are. I'm too cold, Grace.
I'm too cold. I know. No, I've done nothing outside, I'm going to say. Or the only thing I'm going to comment on the out is if you have sweet peas outdoors and they got snowed on, do not worry. They will it will do them the world of good. Leave them to it. It's fine.
Yeah. No, do you want my out? Do your out because that's quite exciting, I no doubt.
It is quite exciting. So
I live for these.
After work on Friday last week, it was so funny. I was at work and I know we had a conversation a while ago about, I got quite excited about the idea of having a different wardrobe for going to work and having all very architect linen and very stylish, and then slightly land girl toast fusion for being a flower farmer. However, I haven't really managed it. I wear the same thing in all settings of my life. So when I went to work on Friday in a Studio Nicholson shirt dress with my makeup done properly, everyone was like, you look nice.
Trouble is, when you dress up, it's just awkward, isn't it?
It is really awkward, and I had to keep saying, I'm going somewhere after work. I'm so sorry, I'm going somewhere after work. And actually,
apologising.
Sitting in a management meeting going, I'm so sorry, I've dressed up. But this is my week off that I know I've been talking about. It must be so boring for everybody. I've been talking about this for months because it's very rare for me to have proper time off. And so that Friday was quite nice. So I had a 2-hour meeting about safeguarding policy amendments and then got in the truck and drove to Bruton. So whenever anyone asks me where I live, I always say I'm the non-trendy end of Somerset, which basically means I don't live near Bruton or Frome.
Oh, okay.
I live near Taunton, which is very not cool, but sweet in its own way. So I did 50 minutes over to Bruton and mixed with the cool people for the evening. So it was Rag of Colts, Caroline, who is lovely, who I've known for a long time. We've done a couple of collaborations for some leather work that I did for Grace Alexander Flowers a couple of Christmases ago, and I'm such a fan of her work. She is just one of the loveliest people. She's now got a shop in Bruton, which I've been to and popped into a few times. But she was doing a collaboration with Bonfield block printers.
Well, nice, yeah.
Now, their stuff is incredible. And I obviously, when I was there, I had to sort of go on and on about how lovely their work was. So they print fabrics that are then made into incredible coats and bags, hence the Rag of Colts bag crossover. But actually, all I wanted to say when I met them was like, oh my God, I love your house. I love your house. I have literally zoomed in on so many pictures of their house because it's an incredible, it was a rescue more than a renovation. And it was just built with such love, such authenticity and honesty for the property that it is. And actually, I know the village that it's in quite well, but I've never been in their place. But I will put a link in the show notes of an article that I've gone back to.
I was going to say, how did you?
But it's so beautiful. It has been featured in a lot of blogs.
I see.
And I happen to know, I've got a toast catalogue from about 3 years ago, which only because I'm a bit stalkerish, I know was shot in their house.
I love that when that happens. You're like, I know this place. Yeah.
I know this place. So such inspiration for the renovation of next door, a deep commitment to flagstones. But just, I think what I love about it is so simple and so incredibly confident in how they've done it. And I know it was rebuilt from the ground up, that house. So
I know. If you can dedicate the time, the finances, I will say. I love the way you say rescue, though, because I do think that is actually quite a really good way of putting it when you're actually putting back what was originally there and things like that. And I really take my hat off to anyone with that sort of ability to do it. It's just so lovely, isn't it? It really is. I love interiors, absolutely. God,
you would love.
Can you send me some pictures after this? Because I would like to have a look and see. But I didn't realise that about Bruton. So Bruton, I think because am I right in thinking that's near Howes and Worth? Bruton.
Yes. Howes and Worth's in Bruton. Yeah.
Okay, so I was near there, but didn't go into Bruton. Did I miss a trick? Should I have gone in?
Oh my God.
Oh dear.
What? How did you even get there without going Bruton?
Probably did, but I was also slightly...
You just didn't notice?
Yeah, sorry, Bruton. Yeah, I will come back.
I'd be surprised because as you come into Bruton, you go past Cabbages and Roses. And
I did see that.
I
did see Cabbages and Roses. And you went, yeah, I did. I saw Cabbages and Roses. And I always thought that was quite surprising because I was like, oh, Cabbages and Roses. Okay. Yeah, it was very pretty.
That's their studio.
It is a very pretty place. But we were on a bit of a mission, I suppose.
Yes, Bruton is not famous for its prettiness. It's famous for its money. So, yeah, there's a lot of very tasteful and posh people. And yes, just a lot of stuff that, bless it, Taunton does not have.
Okay.
That said, I will drink the Kool-Aid and we're just trying to arrange a little Grace Alexander Flowers Christmas party. Which is on the 28th of December. And I am trying to persuade, we're meeting up with some friends from Bristol. I'm trying to persuade them that it's worth driving to Bruton to go to the Briar restaurant again.
Oh, you love it there. Yeah, exactly. That's your new favourite thing, isn't it?
It is my new favourite thing.
Yeah, no, that's really lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, and my out is a bit like you, not really done very much other than I've kept the greenhouse door shut for the last 2 days. Yes. And like you, I'm not worried at all about anything. Most of what we've sown is frost hardy, can go take the cold, so don't worry too much. And I am making it my mission this weekend to plant my bulbs. Finally, I think I can get myself organised to do it. I just don't know. It's just been a bit of a mental time, really, for me. But
I don't think you should do it before you have a cold snap. And I think this cold snap is now my sign to do it.
It is. I think that's going to be the job for the weekend. It's dark here now, so I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to put a soup on. You're going to need this jug, by the way. You laugh. You're going to need this jug. I'm going to send it to you. You're going to need it.
I only use copper pans on my Everhot because life's too short for anything else. Like even Stella, which are the ones that Everhot recommend. I bought a set, too slow.
You want copper?
Yeah. It's only
I love
copper
you, darling,
for me.
honestly.
Boils in seconds.
Your outs are amazing and you cook in copper. How do we cope without you? I love it. And you send me teasels. I love you.
I do. That should have been my out, really. I was half to. Anyway, you're right. It's dark. I'm so sorry if the sound quality for this one is awful.
It sounds like you've got really heavy breathing. And by the way, that's not great.
It's
Hugo, is it?
It's Hugo. I'm fending him off.
I love it.
With one hand whilst trying to tickle the ears of a setter with the other because otherwise she'll get upset. And oh, God.
Yeah.
I've got to take them out and then I've got to be at Musgrave Park Hospital.
Right. Well, listen, you go And I will speak to you next week. And we are doing Christmas next week, so that's exciting.
Yes.
Watch out. Watch this space. Becca's going to burst.
I will have some outs next week. I don't want people to think that we're not going out because there aren't things that can be done at this time of year. It's just I've been so busy with my ins and my outs that I haven't got.
Becca hasn't gone out because she hasn't got time, basically. My out is literally in a hedge, and that's not worth even talking about. But anyway, listen, you take care, and I'll speak to you next week.
Bye. Take care. That's love.
Bye.